I want to welcome all of you to MCLE This Week. I am your host, Bruce Richard. I'm a program attorney here at MCLE. We are blessed here to have a wonderful guest on for this week. It's Tyler Summers. Tyler, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice, Summers Family Law?
Thanks, Bruce. It's good to be here. I am Tyler Summers. I am a divorce, prenup, and all-around family law attorney. My main office is in Needham. I have a satellite office in the Back Bay. I've been practicing exclusively family law, Bruce, for about 12 years now. Prior to that, I dabbled in criminal prosecution. That wasn't for me. But I love trial practice. I love litigation. So family law is a type of practice where you find yourself arguing in court quite a bit.
I find I have discovered there are a lot of family attorneys who dabbled in criminal first and then realized that's not where they wanted to be. So I'm not surprised. It's a not the most frequent track, but certainly one that's well traveled. So Tyler, the reason we've got you here is your social media presence. So you have over 50,000 followers on Instagram. So what made you decide to go down to use social media as a tool for growing your practice?
Sure, that's a great question, Bruce. I decided to do it and take a risk, frankly, for probably two reasons. But the primary reason is that I did not see any other lawyers in Massachusetts doing social media, or at least doing social media in the way that I decided to do it. Um, During the COVID era, I guess I was spending a little more time on my phone, a little more scrolling time,
Right.
and I came across some lawyer content from other states, and some of it was low quality, and some of it was high quality. And I pride myself on good practice, and frankly, I don't necessarily want silly social media, although silly social media can lead to 50,000 followers, I would say. I wanted to try to find a balance between serious content that people can hopefully learn something from, and perhaps maybe they would call me, and they could be converted into a client. Um, but also funny enough that it's going to get caught by the algorithm, and the algorithm is going to see my content and hopefully feed it out to people that may have never even thought about family law or divorce. So I certainly cast a wide net with my content and with my social media.
Right. Did this start during COVID or did this just sort of start ramping up during COVID?
It became a priority for me during COVID, and I think I started filming the content that you see on
Sure.
Instagram. A lot of that content began being filmed in 2023, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, so for lawyers who are hesitant, what's the biggest misconception about using social media for professional purposes?
A misconception is that if you're on social media, you're immediately going to have an influx of calls from prospective new clients who are going to be the type of client that you and your practice are seeking. That is not the case. When you have a popular social media account, Bruce, you are going to get inquiries from people who have no intention of ever hiring a lawyer. They want free advice. So if, again, the misconception is if you think you invest in these videos and other forms of social media, that you're all of a sudden going to be, your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. That may be true, but it may not be the type of calls that you want.
So did that change how you do intake?
Social media has changed how I do intake. Prior to being on social media, my intake process always asked a prospective client, how did you find us? Did you find us on
Right.
Google? Was it word of mouth? Was it a referral? Now we've added social media to those list
Right.
of options.
Okay. So how do you balance being authentic and relatable online with staying professional and ethical as a lawyer?
It's really hard, Bruce, and frankly, I'm not sure if I've yet mastered that technique. Um, there are some videos that I've posted, which you won't be able to find because I've taken them down, that there's one video in particular that got almost 10 million views on Instagram, which is really huge territory.
Yeah.
That's like next level amount of views. Now, the subject of that video, Bruce, was don't marry women who are in these careers. Now,
Okay.
that's inflammatory to certain people, certain women who are in those careers. And actually, if my memory is correct, I said something along the lines of female doctors have a higher divorce rate.
Right.
And there was some study that I got that from. Now, actively, I was representing in a divorce a female doctor, and that video popped up on her algorithm.
Right.
The algorithm served that to her, and I had some explaining to do. And ultimately, what I was able to convey, and no, she didn't fire me. I conveyed that much of my social media is for fun. I am trying to get a viral response. I am trying to get the topic out there. So, no offense to any person who's in a particular career.
So, so how does it work for you now then? So how are you just avoiding the viral topic, or is it taking extra efforts to try and balance it so you're not getting feedback from current clients?
Well, I'm still navigating that. And the unfortunate reality that I'm facing is that, non-inflammatory content is not going to get millions of views.
Right.
And frankly, I'm okay with that. Um, we will see what I film next.
So excluding the inflammatory content, what kind of posts tend to get the most engagement?
There are certain keywords that are going to trigger engagement. One of them is being narcissism. Everyone
Okay.
thinks their husband or their wife is a narcissist, whether there's been a diagnosis or not. Narcissism is a hot word right now. So that's going to trigger good engagement. Talking about cheating and infidelity also really riles people up and gets them going. Now, I would love to talk about dividing stock options. Well, I can tell you, Bruce, that a video about dividing stock options gets about 3 views.
As someone who comes up with program ideas at MCLE, I can understand where you're coming from.
Advance your practice with the MCLE Online Pass. For one monthly subscription fee, you can access everything MCLE has online: live and on-demand webcasts, ebooks, forms, checklists, and more. Start your free trial today at mcle.org/onlinepass.
Have you found your social media presence directly translates into new clients, referrals, or other professional opportunities? And can you give an example?
Absolutely. Like I said, I do get a lot of inquiries relative to social media. I'd say most of them, more than half, are not the type of leads or the type of clients that are going to be the right fit for my practice.
Sure.
But a good portion of them are. So that's been a great way to generate new business. The reality is younger people and frankly, even middle-aged or older people, they are on their phones, they are scrolling, they are on Instagram, they are on TikTok. So, they may be holding off on going over to Google and typing in divorce lawyer, but the algorithm may know that divorce is on the horizon for them, so my content will be served to them. And I may be the first one that they call. So it's a great way to get in front of potential new clients. I've also had great media inquiries as a result of the videos, Bruce. I've been interviewed by Page Six, the New York Post, the Daily Mail. I've also been approached by certain companies that have products that are catered to family law attorneys. I won't
Okay.
name those companies, but they've come to me
Sure.
for sponsorship opportunities. So that's another way to generate income for my
Right.
practice.
Oh, that's great. What are some of the pitfalls lawyers should avoid when starting out on social media?
Make quality content. And when I say quality content, Bruce, I don't mean the actual things that are being spoken. I mean the entire thing that you're presenting to viewers, the camera work, the lighting, what you're wearing, if maybe makeup is appropriate. You have to present, really who you are in the best light. It's not just the spoken word. A lot of the lawyer content that you see on social media, Bruce, it's the lawyers that are holding their iPhones up and as selfie, they're doing selfie content.
Right.
And that may work for some people, but I think you want to present the right image about who you are. And if who you are is a polished attorney, then your social media should reflect that.
Right. That makes sense. What are some of the pitfalls lawyers should avoid when starting out on social media?
Obviously, a lot of people in real life will come to someone like me, a divorce attorney and a prenup attorney. Tell me your craziest story.
Yeah.
And that can be a good topic for social media, but you need to be very careful about not disclosing confidential and privileged information.
Right. The war story goes so far, but not but you need to watch how you're presenting it in the first place. So
And exactly, I'll give you a very short anecdote, Bruce. I did a video a while ago about an initial consultation that I had. Did not reveal anything privileged or confidential, as that would be totally inappropriate. Um, it was based on a real client, though.
hmm.
And she saw the content and she came to me and said, "Was that video about me?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I loved it."
Excellent. Yeah, when the client can recognize themselves in the comment, then yeah, that's one that that was great. Consistency seems to be the key when it comes to social media. How do you manage the time and the energy it takes to keep up a strong presence while running a busy practice?
So it's frankly impossible. In the early days of when I started this about 2.5 years ago, Bruce, I think I was posting 2 videos a day, and I was filming maybe 90 videos a month. I was spending nights, weekends, writing content. Then you set aside an entire day to film the content, and then my practice suffered in the beginning because I was investing so much time and energy into social media. So
Right.
after the initial year or so, I don't film nearly as often. I post repeat videos. There are certain gurus say you need to post twice a day if you want to have a chance. I don't think that's true. I think I'm posting about 2 to 3 times a week at this point, and my numbers seem to be okay.
So do you need to post at a higher level consistency at the start to sort of
You know,
get ground, or is that something that you think you don't think you need to start that way either?
I think that there's different trains of thought on how you're going to catch on. Some people say it's 2 videos a day. Some people say it's one. Some people say it's even less. There's a lot of disagreement. And frankly, the social media companies, they are always changing their standards. So what made sense 2 years ago may very well not make sense today.
Sure.
And I want to be clear that this isn't something I'm doing entirely on my own. I did assemble a team to assist with this. Lighting, camera work, editing. I do most of the content itself, creating it. But after I film, I outsource the editing, the graphics, the captions, which gets expensive.
So when you film, how long do you film and how much of that actually gets out? Like, I mean, how much
Sure.
hits the cutting room floor?
I usually block off about 6 hours every time I film, and I
Okay.
need to justify, Bruce, the cost of bringing out the camera
Right.
person, of bringing out the lighting. So potentially 90 videos in a 6 hour period, which is
Right.
grueling. I would say probably about 80% of what I film will actually make it into a clip that
Okay.
I end up posting.
Yeah, that is a lot of content to put together, even even excluding the lighting and the lighting, editing, and the camera work. I mean, just putting together that much content, that is a lot of work. So,
It's a lot of work, and once you have somewhat of a track record, you can start seeing the topics that are getting the engagement, and then
Right.
you can try to focus more on that type of content.
Right. So if an attorney who's listening wants to dip their toe into social media marketing, what's the very first step you'd suggest they take?
If they're going to hire a social media marketing company, they absolutely need to ask for references. There are
Okay.
so many companies out there that are marketing themselves to lawyers and making promises that I don't think they can keep, and charging an arm and a leg. So doing your due diligence of if you are going to hire a team to help you, really do your due diligence about that team.
Right. And it certainly doesn't hurt to know what you're getting yourself into with I mean, if you're not prepared to make the effort, then it doesn't make any sense to go in halfway. So,
Right, right. I think you should commit to probably at least half a dozen filming sessions before making a determination about whether social media was worthwhile or maybe it wasn't worthwhile.
right, right. Oh,
Rome wasn't built overnight. I did not have 50,000 followers. I don't even think in the first year, Bruce. I think,
yeah,
many of them they trickle in.
right.
So, if you think you're going to post lawyer content and have 50,000 followers in a week, you're mistaken.
Yes, that sort of thing takes a little bit of time. So, um, Tyler, I want to thank you for jumping on the podcast with us today. I really appreciated hearing your thoughts on this topic. Uh, it's a topic I think that definitely interests me, and I think interests a whole lot of attorneys out there who are uh, hesitant about whether or not this is something they should be jumping into. So, thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. And any listeners that want to talk about my social media experience, fellow lawyers in the community, they should feel free to reach out.
Excellent. Tyler, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
The MCLE This Week podcast is a production of Massachusetts Continuing Legal Education in Boston, Massachusetts. For sponsorship opportunities, email us at podcast@mcle.org.